On the 2nd of March 1770, a 13-year-old boy lay on the stone floor of Dysart Tolbooth Jail in the ancient kingdom of Fife. His birth name was Manasela Mbenka, his slave name was Black Tom. Several years prior, Tom, then living in Granada, was purchased for £30 by a Scotsman named Dr. David Dalrymple. In 1768, Dalrymple returned to his home in Fife and brought his slave with him. Soon after, Dalrymple took ill and Tom helped him recover. In 1769, Tom was baptised by Harry Spence, the minister of a local church in Wemyss, Fife. Following his baptism, Tom was known by his Christian name of David Spence. Before Dalrymple could send Spence back to the West Indies, Spence fled to the home of John Henderson, a local farmer, whom he believed would be sympathetic. Together, Henderson and Spence asserted that Spence was no longer a heathen and, as a Christian, could not be enslaved in Scotland. Dalrymple was outraged. He accused Spence of pious fraud, alleging that Henderson plotted with Spence to have him baptised so that he could be free. He lodged a case with the Court of Session. Spence was subsequently arrested on account of being an escaped slave and was thrown into jail to await the decision of the Edinburgh courts. News of the arrest quickly travelled round the village of Wemyss, and days later, through an act of impulsive compassion and brotherhood, the miners and families of East Wemyss, bonded slaves themselves until 1799, quickly organised a collection of money to pay for the lawyers in the hope of helping him. Records preserved by the National Archives of Scotland contain the basis of Spence's argument against Dalrymple. Spence asserts, "I am now by the Christian religion liberate and set at freedom from my old yoke, bondage and slavery. By the laws of this Christian land there is no slavery nor vestige of slavery allowed. Nevertheless, you take it upon you to exercise your old tyrannical power over me and would dispose of me arbitrarily at your despotic will and pleasure." Before the courts could rule on the matter, Dalrymple died, and with no master to sue for Spence's continued slavery, he finally became free. David Spence eventually settled down, married, and had a family in or around the East Fife area. In 1780, the minister Harry Spence was made a professor of divinity at the University of St Andrews. He died in St Andrews on the 27th of November 1787 and was buried within the grounds of the ruined cathedral. Our project seeks to examine the links between unfree labour and St Andrews. Most of what we've learnt so far does not make for light reading. It is vitally important that we, as students of the University of St Andrews and as residents of this town, educate ourselves on the less savoury aspects of our own history. But by taking the surname of a slave who successfully fought for his freedom with the help of the working people of Fife, we also hope to draw attention to stories which uplift and inspire. The portrait we hope to paint for you is not black and white. To every narrative, there are many layers and much nuance. Our project's name is a constant reminder of the values we hope to promote in our university and our town.